Hey guys, what is up? I'm here with Jay. Hey man, how are you?
Good, thanks. And how about you?
Yeah, all is good, all is good. We are in the last live stream of the day, yeah?
That's
It
right.
was an exciting day with 4 live streams. And I'm looking forward to this one because we are going to get into people's minds and see what behavior analysis is. But before that, let's have hear some words from our partners.
PrimeXPT is the most powerful trading platform offering immediate access to over 30 assets. Trade cryptocurrencies, forex, commodities, stock indices, and much more, all from a single Bitcoin settled account. Visit the link below and start trading on PrimeXPT in minutes.
Ferrum Network is an interoperable DeFi ecosystem offering token pre-sales, staking as a service, project incubation, and much more. Visit thebirbnest.com/Ferrum. Globe is an upcoming crypto derivatives exchange offering up to 100 times leverage on crypto and DeFi perpetual contracts. Sign up for early rewards at thebirbnest.com/Globe. Radix is the first Layer 1 protocol built specifically to serve DeFi. More information at thebirbnest.com/Radix. YFDAI is democratizing finance by creating the most secure, transparent, and user-friendly ecosystem of DeFi products. To learn more, visit thebirbnest.com/YFDAI.
And we are back celebrating the 200,000 followers of CryptoBirb, right? We have a 14-day congress where you have free access for 14 days. And even the best is that you can get 30% discount on our most popular plans. That is the exclusive Nest Club and the Console. So don't miss the opportunity because actually you might get the 14-day free access, but the discount ends on Monday. So I guess you don't want to miss that, do you? Let's move on. Okay, so at this point, I would like to introduce you and welcome Brian, Director of Marketing at Santiment. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, guys, I'm doing quite well. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for providing this time to us because actually I'm very interested and I was looking forward to this live stream because I want to know what Santiment is and how people can enhance their trading, right? So you are going to share your screen, but before that, show us the product. But before that, would you like to provide some information on your background and on Santiment, what Santiment is exactly?
Yeah, of course. I've been part of Santiment for almost 2 years now. I got in back in July of 2018 after being in cryptocurrency myself since around mid 2016. I started to get into crypto when friends of mine were starting to discuss the flippening, which was the popular topic in mid to late 2016 that related to Ethereum potentially being able to flip Bitcoin for the #1 market cap asset. It had been seeing some really steady growth out of the gates since it had launched in 2015. I got very excited. Came from a data background. I have an MBA in both business and finance and marketing, I should say. So cryptocurrency kind of just became a quick passion of mine. I began writing about it, learning about it, and I was introduced to Maxim, the founder of Santiment, in the summer of 2019, and we hit it off well. And I quickly became ingrained in all of the data that we really provide. I can get into a little bit about Santiment now, if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. But before that, tell us about before showing to the people how they can use your tool. What is behavior analysis?
Yeah, behavior analysis is essentially the study of how the crowd or totality of cryptocurrency traders at any given moment are behaving and speculating about any given asset or cryptocurrency in general. For example, we track the behavior and types of trades people are making from many different places. Specifically, we use things like Twitter, Discord, Telegram, Reddit, and various pro traders chats that have public facing discussions to give us an algorithmic idea of how often a certain term or a certain asset is being talked about and whether there's a positive or negative connotation to it. This allows for us to really see what an industry like cryptocurrency, which is extremely based on speculation, whether we like it or not, is actually being discussed in a positive light compared to normal and negative light compared to normal, whether it's being discussed at an abundant degree, whether it's kind of being ignored compared to how it should be discussed. And all of these factor into future price movement to a great degree, which I'll demonstrate on this walkthrough here.
Sounds awesome, actually, and it sounds like a powerful weapon for a trader. At the same time, let's display this miraculous code, the discount code. So if you use this code, you can get 40% of any plans of Santiment. Is that right, Brian?
That's exactly right. Yeah, if you sign up, if you go to the link that's scrolling there at the bottom, you can essentially put in that discount code and get 40% off of your first month. It's normally about a $44 price. Currently, we have it at $29 now. And that's going to stay until the end of May 14th. So I'm on the West Coast. I'd say roughly 2.5 days from now is when it all expires. So, you know, if you like what you see here today on the webinar, please, you know, feel free to ask questions. We have a Discord where we can address any issues you may have with becoming a member, and we hope to see you there. We genuinely have a great organic community of advanced traders who talk prices to an objective degree rather than through just speculation. We don't, you know, look at just what the latest Twitter influencer is saying. We really look at the nitty gritty and data and stats and metrics that are behind what is going on in the markets at any given moment.
That's great, actually, because you know, it's one thing to provide a very powerful service. It's another thing to actually have a vibrant community, and you know, that people can enjoy, can talk to each other and exchange opinions.
Yeah, well said, Herc.
Definitely a good thing. 2.5 days, guys, for this offer. So my advice, actually, you will understand that after this live stream, you have to run to get this offer. So at this point, I would like also to, okay, I thought Dino joined, but he dropped off. So I will add him in the live stream when he's back. Okay, let me add your screen.
Sure. I am sharing a window right now. Are you seeing it okay at the moment?
Yeah, we can see. We can
Perfect.
see this time. So let's see what how this can help us in our trading.
Yeah, I just want to say I've been following Santiment for a long time, and I always look forward to your guys' tweets, and so very much looking forward to diving in a little bit deeper into what's actually happening behind the scenes here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jay. We really do our due diligence to make sure we're putting out quality content, both through our tweets and through our insights, which I'll show today as well. On top of all of the data that we offer, we have a full insights branch of our website, which is run by Dino. And when he gets on and has his audio running, he'll talk a little bit about the kinds of things that he writes about as our head of content. I chip in with some other things as well. And we understand that metrics and data can be a lot to digest for people, and sometimes they just need it to be put in a concise way, which is why we consistently have write-ups to summarize what's happening in the markets. We do weekly updates on where we see markets heading, especially the large, you know, assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. We put a majority focus on them while still not ignoring the key altcoins and trends that are happening in the markets at any given moment.
Yeah, and we have Dino just joined our company. Welcome.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. How are you?
All right, good. Should I turn on my camera? I'm fine either way.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Sure, one sec.
It's always good to put a face behind the voice.
Did I agree with that? Let me try. Okay.
There you go.
You see me?
Yes.
All right. Hey.
Okay, so Brian was about to give us an overview in Santiment and what people can get from the platform. And NJ it seems he is a loyal customer of yours. He really likes your service, but it would be good for the people that are watching. We have beginners or even experienced traders. It would be good to see what we can see in the platform in Santiment and how this can enhance their trading.
Of course, and I can give kind of just a quick general overview of what we offer, who we are, and address any questions right off the bat. For starters, once again, I'm Brian. I'm the director of marketing. I'm here with Dina, who's our head of content, and together we put a lot of thought into the kinds of data that we think the crypto community can find use of. Not just in terms of what is interesting, but what will actually provide alpha, what will tell people, objectively speaking, and based on history, where markets will be heading when certain spikes or certain dips happen in any sort of on-chain or social metric, tool that we deem to be of high value. In general, we're a comprehensive market intelligence platform for crypto. We really focus intensely on clean and reliable data feeds, low latency signals, and having custom market analysis. Not just any generic types of reports. We really focus on what the people care about and what the people are talking about at any given moment. We leverage on-chain and social and development metrics, as well as other data sources, which we've developed with dozens of specialized tools. We have indicators and strategies that help users to identify and contextualize and react to the market events and all the anomalies that happen with it. We also have a token known as SAN. We typically spend minimal time talking about that, but for those wondering what this token is, it is a utility token with the intent of providing discounts for membership purchases up until the price of our SAN token reaches $1. All of the SAN tokens used on our platform are still equivalent to $1 spent. So with SAN token, last I checked, being in the 30 to 40 cent range, that would mean when you spend it on our platform, it is still worth $1. So spending 3 SAN tokens would cost 90 cents in the real world, but count for $3 on Santiment, if that makes sense.
It does.
So that's kind of a synopsis of who we are, what we're about. Of course, toward the end of the call, we can address any questions people have about what we offer, and hopefully through this walkthrough here, we'll give a nice, concise explanation of some of the key examples that give our community members a lot of value in understanding the markets. So starting here. Yeah, starting here, what we're looking at is our Santiment screener. This is kind of our home base to a lot of people because it allows many different types of views to be customized and put right in front of them to get some context on where markets currently stand and how they've been performing. What we have is obviously a tree map, which many of you may be familiar with, as well as a nice bar chart, which you can sort in many different ways. I've started by just showing a simple descending chart showing the biggest losers over the last 7 days. I can switch that to biggest winners. We have one that's dwarfing all others right now, and this is due to a simple crypto market cap data skew that's happening. So we can safely ignore that, as it doesn't often happen. Sometimes it does, and this is a live walkthrough and there isn't much I can do about it, but generally, all of these price performances are accurate, right? We can see EOS Force, Shiba, which has been the most talked about crypto asset in cryptocurrency right now, up 1,400% in the last 7 days, so on and so forth. But that's just performance, right? We can also look at market cap to see what the lowest market caps are doing, or the highest market caps. Again, we have this one dwarfing everything at the moment, but normally you'll easily be able to see in a nice, top 100 display visually which ones are standing out at any given time. And then, of course, you have a filter here where you can say, I'd like to filter by only assets that have a certain level of market cap or a high level of social volume, perhaps a high level of development activity over the last 30 days, or you can say last month, last 6 months. The possibilities are honestly endless, guys. There are so many different ways you can go about it. You can look at derivative types of metrics, network activity, exchange types of activity, any sort of network value, whale behavior. We'll try to get into as many of these metrics as we can during the call. But in short, I definitely want to emphasize that this screener here can be extremely helpful in getting quick context and provide understanding as to how markets are performing and where things may go from here based on your own strategies that you can integrate into this filter to easily weave through and find the assets that are showing the best opportunities.
And I guess if someone joins your Discord community, discussing with other members, they share with each other best practices, right? On
100%.
That you have. Yeah.
Yeah, we have constant discussions happening both on our general channel, which includes anyone who is a Santiment member. And then we also have a Sandbase Pro channel, which is private for only the paid members. And as you may expect, the paid members are the ones who are intently really looking and diving deep into our metrics to find alpha and sharing with one another for ideas and speculation on where things are going with a high degree of probability because they're all using objective data like we're seeing here.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So moving past the screener a little bit, I also want to talk about our Sand Trends page. I mentioned that Shiba, which is now down to 5th, but over the past day and a half, was the top asset being discussed in cryptocurrency. Not in terms of raw numbers, mind you, but in terms of relative percent change to their normal discussion rates. We put everything on an equal playing field. So whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum here, as we can see in the top 10, or just a smaller asset like Shiba, they will all have a chance of reaching the top 10. And when they do, it's a sign that crowd discovery has essentially taken place. When crowd discovery takes place, it's usually because crowds are recognizing that an asset is pumping at an unusual degree compared to the rest of the markets, or perhaps even dumping at an unusual degree compared to the rest of the markets. When that crowd discovery kicks in, it's more often than not a sign that a turning point will be imminent to that asset. As we can see here, for example, with SHIB at number 2 and Shiba at number 5, it was a clear example that a correction would eventually take place. Even though social volume had dropped off a bit, right when it was spiking here, I guarantee this was right around when the price top happened. And that followed by a lot of people, the crowd getting faked out and thinking that Shiba would just continue on that absolute torrid pace. It's still at 1,400% over the last week, mind you. But the emerging trends page here really does a great service by providing people with an understanding of when something is getting overheated in terms of social volume. When too many people are becoming interested in an asset, the opposite tends to happen in terms of price expectation. So if the crowd suddenly says, okay, Wi-Fi is on an absolute tear right now, it's going to just keep mooning and we're all going to get Lambos, that is the turning point more often than not where Wi-Fi will start to regress and many people will get faked out. And that is in essence how cryptocurrency works. Prices move toward the path of least expectation from the crowd.
And
So
actually,
you
Brian,
actually... Sorry, go ahead, Dino.
Okay, just wanted to say, Brian, if you want to show the social volume for SHIB over the last month. Yeah, so You can only go to their project page. It's I think even better. Just
Sure.
so we have obviously project pages for all of the cryptocurrencies on our website, and I was just looking into Shiba's project page and its own social volume, and you can definitely see sort of not say correlations, but you can see that over the last month, especially, even if you zoom into the last 2 weeks, or even the last week, Brian, just zoom into the last week so you can see it more clearly. So what we're seeing here is the amount of mentions of Shiba and Shiba-related synonyms on crypto social media relative to its price action, which is in green, right? So this is something that we see very often. These spikes in social mentions coinciding with the period of price correction or price consolidation. So we've seen it first on May 10th, and then we saw another sort of cluster of social media spikes sort of 12 to 24 hours later as it hit a new all-time high. And then we also more recently saw it on, I believe that was like May 12th, just at that local top for Shiba before, a bit closer. There you go. You just passed it.
May 10th, on this one.
No, so the next spike on social volume, right? So it was
right here,
around
May 11th.
Yeah, there we go. So right around that local top before we saw another price crash. So I mean, this is something that we see every now and again. By the way, sorry for the low quality on my cam. I'm just using my laptop cam instead of the actual professional cam that I should be using. But anyway,
Don't worry.
Don't
worry at all.
Yeah, this is something that we very often see for cryptocurrencies. We've done a few back tests on this phenomenon just because we are really, as far as I'm aware, and as far as I know, we are the only sort of data provider that does social media data as far as cryptocurrencies are concerned well. And the only one that has sort of a data set of over 1,500 crypto-related social media channels that we track on a daily basis. We collect around 100,000 new messages every day, and then we compile those messages into these types of metrics. So this, what Brian is showing you right now, is it's an event study that we done recently. I think it was like 2 months ago, where we had this idea, and actually this is an update to a backtest that we've done last year as well. The idea is very simple. So big spikes in social volume, especially as the price rallies, usually suggest that the crowd is becoming too irrationally confident about the coin's price performance. And in general, it suggests that pretty much everybody that has wanted to buy into the rally is probably already aware of the rally and is bought in. So there's going to be a decline in buy-side pressure moving forward. And that's also another reason why you're seeing this sort of price correction shortly afterwards. So what we wanted to test with our social data was what happens with the price of the coin before and after they end up on those top 3 positions on our social trends list, which is this list that gets updated every hour based on the biggest sort of most emerging trends and words that are gaining the most ground or volume in terms of mentions on crypto social media. So these are the results of an event study that we've done 2 months ago. It's based on 650 different times that we saw a coin or a ticker of the coin end up in the top 3 positions on our social trends, suggesting that it's one of the most discussed topics at the moment, at least in relative terms, right? So this is 20 days beforehand and 20 days after the event occurs, and the event is the appearance of the coin on the list. So you can definitely see that in the sort of 5 to 6 days before the event, the average price performance of these coins just explodes. And this makes perfect sense because the reason why people are all of a sudden starting to talk about it much more is because they're pumping. Like, unless you're Bitcoin or Ethereum, you're not going to get mainstream attention unless your coin is just going to the moon, right?
So,
and that, go ahead.
Sorry. So you're scraping all this data from the social media. Now, is that just mentions of the coin, or is it taking into account other things in addition to that?
So both. We track mentions, obviously. So when it comes to tracking the social volume of a particular coin, we only look at mentions of that coin and the synonyms of that coin as well. So for example, when we look at Bitcoin social volume, we combine mentions of Bitcoin, BTC, and any other sort of synonyms for that coin. However, you can, on our platform, you can pretty much use our platform or our social part of the platform as Google Trends for crypto. You can type in any word or any phrase, and you can see the mentions of that phrase or concept on crypto social media over time. So if you type in Elon, for example, or Elon Musk, right, you will see, and you plot the price of Dogecoin over the mentions of Elon. you're going to see some very interesting correlations there. So, Brian, if you want to share that while I'm talking, you'll definitely see sort of a number of times when mentions of Elon spike, you see sort of increased volatility for Dogecoin, which makes perfect sense, right? Because usually the reason why Doge is pumping is something to do with Elon. So there you go. Mentions of Elon and are in blue, and the price of Dogecoin is in green. So we had a few sort of big spikes even before that massive all-time high for Doge. Like for example, what is that? That's like May 15th, I believe, or something. No, that's April 15th. So that big spike. The first time that Dogecoin really started pumping, we saw a big spike in Elon-related mentions, coincided with the local top. We had another one maybe a week later, and then most recently, this biggest spike in Elon mentions came right before the drop, I believe, or sort of right around the drop once again. So as far as social volume for a specific coin, we only track the mentions of that coin and its synonyms, but really you can do whatever you want. You can type for whatever you want on our platform, right?
So help me out, because this is a great example. And Doge was pumping because of Elon Musk. How can I? Let's say I'm a total beginner, right? How can I use this information to make a decision? For example, because Doge, for some people, is a shitcoin. For other people, Elon mentioned it, and it's going to be the new Bitcoin, right? How can I make the distinction between negativity and positivity and drive an informed decision that will not damage my portfolio?
Right. So in general, I think there are a few ways to use this social data as a way to sort of manipulate or maintain your portfolio. So first of all, I believe that most of the times, like 80 to 90% of the time, social volume is a top indicator rather than a bottom indicator. So in general, the only thing that I look for personally when I'm looking for a potential entry opportunity, the coin, and I'm looking at its social volume, the only thing I want to see is sort of low levels of social volume, generally sort of suggesting to me that not a whole lot of people are talking about the coin, at least relative to its previous social volume, right? Now, when it comes to spotting potential sort of exit points as far as the coin that you're already invested in and using social volume for that sense, there are, I think, two easiest ways. Number one is literally keeping a track of this list of the biggest trends on crypto social media, which gets updated every hour. And we actually have an ability to set up alerts for this list. So the next time, let's say for example, you're invested in Doge, right? And you want to know the next time, or in Shiba, and you want to know when the crowd is starting to get a bit too riled up about the coin. It's the rocket emojis and moon emojis are starting to become a bit more prevalent, and you might want to consider exiting your position. So what you can do is you can set up an alert. Brian, if you go to Shiba's project page, let's show people how they can set up alerts for spikes in social media mentions, so that you can get immediately notified on Telegram, email, whatever you want to use, even via webhooks. You can get notified the next time there's a big spike in Shiba's social mentions, so that you immediately, instead of sort of always lurking on the platform, you immediately have an idea that that there's something happening. So you go to add alerts. There we go. So right next to Shiba's logo, if you scroll up, Brian. So you click on add alert, and then change alert type. So this is where you can add alert for anything, any sort of metric on our platform. So there are two ways that you can set up alerts for social metrics. Number one is by clicking on Sand Trends here. And when you click on Sand Trends and move the bar to trending assets instead of trending words. There you go. So this is a setup which will let you know the next time that Shiba Inu as a coin ends up in the sort of trending assets, or the assets that are gaining the most ground on crypto social media, right? You can then, if you scroll down, you can set up conditions like where you want to receive these alerts, how the name of the alerts should be, and so forth. Whether you want the signal to be public or private, and you can create an alert. Another thing that you can do is, instead of looking at only this list of ours that's sort of updated once a day, you can also set up alerts the next time that Shiba's social volume increases by a certain percentage point. So Brian, if you go to change alert type and then we go to social, and let's say just social volume, the first one, there we go. So we can here, let's say choose condition, let me know the next time that Shiba's social volume moves up by a like 100%, for example, compared to a previous day. So moving up percent, and you create, let's say plus 100%. And you see here how many times that would have triggered in the last 3 months. So you can sort of adapt your conditions based on the amount of times that would trigger in the past. And let's say 100, we're fine with 100%, maybe 150% would be better. And in general, after that, you simply set up an alert, you confirm it, and you get a notification. I get like 10 to 12 notifications a day from coins that I'm interested in, as far as things like social volume, on-chain activity anomalies. Basically, what you want to do is really you want to track anomalies in these metrics, right? So if you're a total beginner, I think setting up alerts and sort of just setting it and forgetting it is probably a good way to start, just so you're at least conscious or mindful of the fact that the next time that there's a big spike in social mentions, you know that you should at least consider reconstructing your portfolio a little bit, right?
Got it. That was very insightful. Before my next question, I will display now the code for the 40% discount that you offer. Guys, honestly, you only have 2.5 days, and this is an amazing tool. Santiment can provide you a lot of information and help you with your trading. And then the fact, Dino, that you mentioned all these filters, it's like it gives this tool gives so much flexibility on what information you want to display, and it's really enlightening of what is going on in the market. So guys, this is the code for 40%. Now, one question is there a tool inside the product where I can backtest my strategy and see, for example, when I have specific type of questions? So you mentioned the alerts, but if I have some alerts, can I backtest and validate if when these alerts are on, the price pumps or the price drops?
Yeah, so as far as backtesting, there are two things that you can do. Number one is Brian is already showing there's this little sort of visualization that will let you know, okay, in the past 3 months, these are the points at which your alerts would have been fired. And you can definitely see that obviously the price action of Shiba has grown so much that I'm not really sure. When we look at these small ones at the beginning, like maybe there was a big pump at the time, but who knows? But you can definitely see in the last couple of days, you would get two big alerts around very sort of important price points or sort of points of potential price action for Shiba Inu. So that's as far as just like when you're setting an alert, you can change your conditions based on the amount of times that it has triggered in the past, and you can see sort of when that would have triggered and how the coin's price reacted in the past. Now, as far as backtesting in general, our metrics, and by the way, I don't know, sorry I was late, I was on another call. Brian probably already mentioned, we're not just a social data provider. At Santiment, we track on-chain data, development activity, and social media data. I honestly believe that we're one of the most comprehensive data providers as far as cryptocurrencies are concerned.
This is very important. This is very important, and I think it's something that you need to emphasize on, right? When you are showing your product, it's not about social media. It's not that you track just Twitter. You track several social media. You track Discord communities. I don't know if you track also Telegram.
Yep, we do. Reddit, some professional trader chats, anywhere that we can find the main topic of discussions being crypto, we try to listen in.
Plus the on-chain analytics that you mentioned. And
Right.
Yeah, the rest of the sources.
And then as far as backtesting some of these metrics, obviously there are a few sort of snippets that are integrated into the platform like this. But for people that are really serious about backtesting and creating their own models and backtesting some strategies based on our metrics, there are two sort of complementary products of ours that I would recommend. So Sandbase is the flagship product. That's where you go to sort of analyze the token in a very sort of very nice looking UI, if I may say so myself. But we also provide two additional services for people that are more sort of data savvy. So number one, we do have a Google Spreadsheets plugin called Sandsheets, which lets you import all of our data, anything that is on our platform as far as metrics, social metrics, on-chain metrics, development activity, and price metrics. You can import all of the data directly into Google Spreadsheets. And with a few very simple functions, you can create completely new models and backtest some of those strategies using Google Spreadsheets. So a lot of people in crypto, this is, for example, a model that Brian has created, an NVT ratio using our data in Google Spreadsheets. A lot of people use Excel or spreadsheets for some of their sort of backtests. So if you are familiar with the functions and how they work in Excel and Google Spreadsheets, this is a great tool. And then sort of the upper level or the most complex way to backtest strategies and create your own trading bots is with our API. So most of our metrics have a very low latency, up to 5 minutes. So if you really want to, first of all, backtest some of our, let's say you're interested in how social volume performs for a specific subset of coins, you can take all of the data through our API and run it yourself, run your backtest yourself. But second of all, if you want to create real-time like trading strategies using some of our metrics, whether it's social data or on-chain data, you can also do that very easily through our API. So as far as backtesting concerned, check out Sandsheets for people that are familiar with spreadsheets and how it works. And if you're really, if you're a developer, API is the place to go.
So you mentioned about setting alerts on volume increases and things like that. Could I also build a watch list inside of the platform there for coins that are increasing in social volume as well?
We actually already have it. So there are two things there. So first of all, if you go to see the left side or the left side menu of these watch lists are the watch lists that we have at Santiment, sort of created as basically for people to look through the most interesting segments of the market. So stable coins, NFTs, etc. So one of these watch lists that are by default available to everyone are emerging trending assets. So Brian, if you click on that watch list there, on the left. Oh, you are. That's right. Yeah.
No. Emerging trends assets, not this one.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. It's okay. Just the recently viewed one. There you go. So these are the assets, and this is a dynamically updated watch list of assets that are gaining the most, that are basically emerging as far as social volume is concerned, right? So if you're sort of looking for coins that are gaining the most mentions on crypto social media, this is one way that you can find those possibilities or those coins. Now there's another way, a bit more advanced, but I think it gives you a bit more flexibility, is by using our screener. So a screener is something that we've developed, I think 2 or 3 months ago. It essentially allows you to filter out a subset of coins by pretty much any metric on our website, and we have over 150 different metrics. So Brian, let's say you create a new screener. And I
did share this a bit at the beginning, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I led off by sort of showing people the filter, talk a little bit about how they can curate their own list based on different strategies and metric thresholds here.
Yes.
But if you have anything, go for it.
I mean, we see social volume here as one of the filters. So currently you see 1,970 assets. So this is basically the entirety of our of all of the coins that are available on our platform. So what Brian just did is he said, okay, filter out only the coins that have had more, that have had a 150% or above uptick in social volume over the last 24 hours. So you see the list goes from almost 2,000 coins to just 72, right? Now, this is, if you're sort of looking for coins with very high social volumes, this would be one way to do it. Now, one thing that I like to do Actually, Brian, do you mind me sharing my screen for a second for this?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let me just figure out how to do it here. Just to kind of give you an idea of what to do if you're looking for potential opportunities for coins rather than coins that are already sort of probably near the top. So, my screen. Okay, you should see my screen now.
Nothing yet.
Oh no. 1 sec. Allow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see it. I will add it. Yeah. Just give me a sec. It should be on now.
Cool. So I have a Kraken account. Don't have an affiliate with them. Just saying. So one of the web watch lists that I've created very early on is a Kraken watch list where I have about 20 plus coins. Where sometimes I look into potential coins that I want to explore. Right? Maybe look for undervalued assets. So without sort of diving deep into what MVRV is, we can maybe do that later on. But MVRV is a metric that lets you know from an on-chain perspective whether a coin is over or undervalued. So as a rule of thumb, the lower the MVRV ratio is, the more undervalued the coin is, at least according to this metric, right? Without going into exactly how it's calculated, one of the things that I like to do is I like to, this is a watch list of mine. So there are all of these columns that tell you, price, volume, market cap, and then a bunch of different metrics. So you can click on this column button here. You can deselect a few of them that I don't really care about. I don't really actually care about any of these. And then I can select MVRV. Let's say the 30-day MVRV is the one that I'm sort of interested in. So now what I'm going to see is I'm going to see the 30-day MVRV of all of the coins that I'm sort of interested in as far as they're listed on Kraken. So when I click on MVRV here, I can actually sort of rank them according to their MVRV ratio. And like I said, the lower the MVRV, potentially at least, the more undervalued the asset is. Obviously, this, you need to then, like for example, currently I see that storage is its 30-day ratio is minus 11.3%, suggesting that it is potentially undervalued. Now I say potentially because I had know nothing else about storage at the moment. So I would need to go through a bunch of different both technical and fundamental analysis, but I would use this as a sort of starting point, for example, to figure out, all right, this might be something that I want to look into. And then if I filter them by the highest MVRV, actually we can see that currently Aave is by far the highest. It's currently at about plus almost 30% as far as its 30-day MVRV, which essentially means that all of the addresses that have acquired Aave in the past 30 days are about plus 29% in profit on average at the moment, which suggests that the more they are in profit, the more likely it is that they are going to start selling, and as a result apply negative price pressure. So I would consider this maybe to be currently a bit overvalued. So that's sort of the one of the other ways that you can use some of our watch lists and screeners to find new opportunities to invest in particular coins. Brian, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and you can take over again.
Okay, so without saying that there is financial advice there here, what is the overall sentiment that you would say we have in the market right now for the high caps?
So that's a very good question. I would say in general, I have been fairly sort of skeptical about Ethereum in particular as far as its general sentiment is concerned, because we have seen both from a social media perspective and also from an on-chain perspective, we have seen sort of an uptick in a variety of metrics as Ethereum has sort of just blown past all of the milestones. Over the last couple of weeks, there has been a considerable uptick in the amount of daily Ethereum mentions, which makes perfect sense. On the other hand, we have also seen a big uptick in the general crowd sentiment towards Ethereum, suggesting that the crowd is becoming more and more bullish towards ETH relative to what they were previously. And also, I just watched this. I just saw this a couple of hours ago. I was looking at the funding rates for top caps, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I've noticed that the funding rate for Ethereum has started to pick up on a bunch of exchanges, including Huobi and Binance. So the funding rate, obviously, for those who don't know, it's a fee paid by one side of the perpetual contract to another. So when the funding rate is positive, it means that the Ethereum longs are paying Ethereum shorts, and the market overall or on average is quite bullish or has a bullish outlook, derivatives market in particular. And then when you see low funding rates, it means the opposite. It means that on average, Ethereum shorts are paying Ethereum longs. So I was watching a few different funding rates on BitMEX. It remains relatively low, but it's starting to pick up steam on like Huobi and Binance. So this also suggests to me that the derivatives market is now also looking to take advantage of the rally a little bit, which are all sort of relatively concerning markers. It's not necessarily saying that Ethereum might be headed for a massive correction or anything, but it's definitely interesting to see. And then also, if you look at Ethereum's exchange inflow over the past couple of weeks, it's something quite interesting that you'll be able to see. So exchange inflow, for those that are unfamiliar, is the amount of Ethereum moving to known exchange wallets. So Brian, yeah, if you can only look at exchange inflow and remove all the others, just so we can, it's a bit more clear. Yeah, there we go. And if you can zoom in to maybe the last 3 months. Yeah, and also change the exchange inflow sort of, yeah, from filled line to maybe a line, and also, yeah, there we go. Okay, great. So this is what we're seeing here is a 4-hour interval of the amount of Ethereum moving to exchanges. This is both centralized and decentralized exchanges. So you can see over the past couple of, well, first of all, in the last 10 days, we have had 2 big spikes in Ethereum's exchange inflow. The first one was right as Ethereum sort of started to consolidate and actually had a short-term correction there on May 4th, suggesting that the market was starting to, or some of its holders were starting to take advantage of the rally, move their coins to exchanges, presumably to sell. And, you know, that's clearly had sort of a negative impact on the further price action of the coin. And then more recently, on I believe that was like May 11th or May 12th, or right before the correction, there was another massive uptick in the amount of Ethereum moving to exchanges, suggesting that once again, people were starting to maybe reduce their exposure a little bit, just to move to more of a risk-off behavior. And we had I think that was like a minus 12% correction. So this is one of the charts that I like to keep an eye on, just to make sure, you know, in general, to keep tabs on the sentiment of actual Ethereum holders and how they're behaving on chain, is whether they are starting to move their coins in droves to exchanges, because especially when that happens during price rallies, it does suggest an intent to sell, right? And Brian, if you look at social volume for Ethereum, we'll also see these massive spikes in social volume over the last couple of weeks, also suggesting potentially slightly overvalued conditions. At the very least, it suggests that the market is becoming very, very enamored with Ethereum, and it's obviously because of its rally. And as a result, according to our data at least, that these upticks in social volume can sometimes indicate that the market is approaching quote-unquote peak hype. And as a result, we might need a short-term sort of normalization of Ethereum's price action before we can continue. Obviously, first of all, this is not an investment advice. And second of all, this doesn't mean that it will happen. I have seen, like, for example, I've been bearish about Bitcoin for a few times throughout this rally. And its fundamentals just lagged behind its price. Like the buy side pressure, the hype was so high that it took like a couple of weeks for maybe not a weeks, but a couple of days at least, for these indicators really to materialize and induce a short-term price correction. So in general, I would say that the market is becoming more and more bullish on Ethereum, which is not something that I personally like to see. I like it when it's under the radar, and in general suggests that not a lot of people are paying attention to it, giving more room for price appreciation. It seems like we're sort of reaching a watershed point for Ethereum, at least in the short term.
So if I was to zoom out on this chart, would I be able to compare this recent inflow spike to historical ones to see
Yeah,
where I
you
should
would.
potentially be scaling out?
You would, and you would actually see. Sorry, Brian. If you can look at the all-time price and social volume for Ethereum, you could actually see that this latest social volume is actually the highest it's ever been. So even compared to 2017, all time. There we go. So this is what we had in 2017 and 2018, and you can definitely see that we sort of, when we peaked in terms of social volume, is where we peaked in terms of its price action as well. And since then, it's sort of been a fairly low. Both 2019 and 2020 were relatively low in terms of the total amount of attention towards Ethereum. Last couple of weeks, especially last maybe 5 to 7 days, not so much. Quite the opposite. You know, the amount of attention towards Ethereum has just exploded to something unprecedented, at least according to our social data. So it definitely suggests that you know, it might be there might be cause for short-term concern and maybe a period of like maybe another 10 to 15% correction. I mean, we're already seeing it today, right? We've seen Ethereum drop from I think 4.3 to 4.1. So we're already in the midst of a short-term correction for Ethereum, which I'm not surprised about at all. So yeah, compared to historical trends, it's the highest it's ever been.
Wow, that's quite something.
And I have a question, but it's not for you, Dino, not for you, Brian. It's for Jay, my colleague. So Jay is an amazing trader. So my question to you, Jay, is as a trader, how would you use sentiment? Let's say you have your technical analysis, you watch the patterns, you get some confirmation, right? How would you use sentiment to enhance your trading and make a more informed decision?
From what I've seen, so you really want to pay attention to what the social volume is doing. So maybe when I see the social volume starting to increase, maybe then I want to use that in confluence with what I'm seeing on the chart. But I don't want to enter something necessarily if the volume is way up there, because then as Dino was saying a little while ago, that by that point everyone who has already entered the trade is probably already entered. So I think from what I've seen, I know we haven't gone through all of the different aspects and tools within Santiment, but I'm sure that it would probably take a few of these sessions to do it. Yeah. But I think it could definitely be used in confluence with TA to either plan sort of entries when the social volume starts to pick up, and then maybe exit when that's also peaking, and then looking at other factors like the MV. What was that? That MV?
Yeah, the MVRV.
MVRV, yeah, as well. So yeah, I'm sure there's other things that we could also add to that. But like I say, we've barely even covered, even begun to cover what this thing is capable of doing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. At least the fact that we're generally social volume is maybe like 10% of our platform in general social metrics, right? 10 to 15%. So there's about 10 different indicators, social indicators on our platform, and there's about 80 different on-chain metrics, and then another sort of 10 development activity metrics as well. So obviously we can't cover them all at this time unless you guys want to spend the next 4 hours talking, which it's getting quite late on my end. But no, in general, it's quite a big platform, and every indicator has its own sort of it's on the specific and unique use case, right? So if you guys want us to speak about a specific sort of metric, we can definitely do so. But yeah, just so people are aware that we've touched upon social volume just because it's very interesting and a lot of people aren't aware of it. But we do provide so much more than that.
And I think as we are reaching the end of this live stream, I think it's very important to note that you have a very strong community. And so it's not just a service, it's similar to the Birb Nest, right? Someone who wants to get into an educational hub and get all the trading resources, all the knowledge, how to start trading. But the power of joining the Birb Nest, and I guess similarly to Santiment, is that there is a very strong community behind it. Exchanging opinions, and you have seasoned users that are using successfully your services, so they share the knowledge with the rest of the community.
Absolutely. Both on our Discord and on our weekly streams. So if you guys are interested, anybody that's watching, every Friday at 4 p.m. Central Eastern Time, we do sort of a weekly market stream on our YouTube channel. And we get people, first of all, Brian and I always talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum because you need to, like Bitcoin and Ethereum's price action is going to impact, inadvertently even, it's going to impact 80% of the market. But then maybe 20 to 30 minutes in, we start taking questions from the audience, coins that they are interested in, that they would like us to see. And we do like sort of impromptu fundamental analysis, right? So we don't really dive super deep into it, but we will do like 10 to 15 minutes on coins that people want us to see, both from an on-chain perspective, social perspective, all the different angles. Like there are a lot of things that we haven't really touched upon here. Most of the metrics that we've talked about here are sort of network-wide, or sort of cover the entire network of the coin. However, we do have metrics that get very granular and get very specific. Like, for example, one of our metrics allows you to track the top transactions of a coin within a specific time frame. So the way that we use that metric, for example, is we look for top transactions during local tops, and we find addresses that have probably largely influenced the price correction, because they're sort of, we find holders that or addresses that have been holding a coin for 2 years and have sort of dumped 80% of their holdings just around the local top. So from that point on, you can set up alerts for those types of addresses the next time that it goes on a dumping spree, so in order to basically front the market with it, right? So it's those types of things that we do on our weekly streams. If anybody's interested, you're more than welcome. Like I said, 4 p.m. Central Eastern Time. Check out Sentiment's YouTube channel, and yeah, see you there.
And one final question from me. I don't know if, Jay, you have any questions, but let me tell me about what is the roadmap for Santiment for the next weeks or months. Are you going to add more insights, or are you going to expand the platform into another space or market?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on the product side. So obviously, as far as insights are concerned, we somebody from the team publishes insights daily. Some of them are paywalled or available only to Sandbase Pro users. Some of them are available to everyone to see. I always write a weekly overview of the market, mostly focused on Bitcoin, but every day there is something around market and how you can analyze it from our perspective and perspective of our data on the insights part of the Sentiment platform. As far as the roadmap is concerned, there are a few things to keep in mind, or a few things that we have in mind. Number one is increasing our on-chain coverage. So at the moment we cover, as far as on-chain data is concerned, we cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, all ERC20 coins, XRP, BNB, Litecoin. We used to cover EOS, but it was too expensive compared to the demand that we got for EOS. Obviously now, EOS is all of a sudden pumping after 2 years, so some people might be interested in EOS on-chain data. But these are sort of the coins or the assets that we currently provide data for from an on-chain perspective, and that includes like 1,200 different assets. But there are other blockchains that we want to scrape and that we want to provide data for. We've gotten a lot of requests for things like Polkadot and Cardano, so we're looking into expanding our coverage as far as other blockchains are concerned. But you need to be aware of the fact that this includes a completely new heuristic every time that you're trying to scrape another blockchain infrastructure. So it's a sort of a 2 to 3 months task for our developers. So that's one thing. And then on the other thing, we are working on a bunch of sort of side projects that we hope will increase the value of our Sentiment token. So from the very beginning, the idea behind Sentiment was to try and decentralize market intelligence, right? And obviously Sandbase as a platform is quite centralized, but we are working on sort of side projects which will eliminate the intermediary, even Sentiment itself, where you can sort of use your market know-how and market intelligence in order to reap rewards and tokenize your understanding of the market. So there's a few sort of cool projects in that sense coming out in the next couple of months. One of them called Wallet Hunters is already live. If you guys want to check it out, it's hunters.santiment.net, where we basically want to crowdsource market research. So there, our address labeling, as far as just like any other market intelligence platform, one of the biggest tasks is how to properly label addresses so that you can provide context as to what's happening in the market. It's not the same thing when you see a big spike in a whale transaction, if that whale is actually an individual address or if it's an exchange address. The difference between who that address belongs to can be a difference between a bearish signal and a bullish signal, right? So we are trying to improve our address labeling, and one of the ways that we do it is by letting people that are familiar with different protocols and in general sort of address labeling help us by providing insights on labels that we need and addresses that we need, and we reward them in sand tokens. And other people vote on their proposals. It's completely decentralized, and we hope that that's going to be one of the bedrocks of Santiment token in the future. So there's a lot of interesting and exciting things. Hopefully the bull market holds for a couple of more months to let us do all of these things. But overall, yeah, that's sort of the roadmap.
Not just a couple of months, I hope.
Hey man, yeah, for sure. I mean, the more the merrier, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Guys, at this point, I would like to thank you very much for taking the time to show us Santiment. It was really amazing to see all this data. How can someone use all this data to make some sense and add them in their trading strategy. I don't know if you have any final words. I would say we just displayed the coupon code for 2.5 days. There is a 40% of any sentiment plan. For me, it's a no-brainer, especially if you are a seasoned trader. But yeah, thank you so much for coming over to another the Birb Nest live stream.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. What we showed here today was really the tip of the iceberg, and we've got a whole lot more that we can share in some follow-up webinars and focus on, maybe whale behavior next time, some sort of on-chain analytic, since we barely touched on it on this one. But, again, thanks for your time, and hope you guys got a little bit of information out of just how to use our platform effectively.
Yeah, and for the listeners, if you haven't checked out the YouTube for Santiment, I'm definitely going to start tuning into those weekly market wrap-ups that you guys are doing. And so go over there and subscribe to them. And also, we love it if you would subscribe to our channel here as well and turn on the notifications so that you can stay up to date with not only the remaining amazing webinars coming up for the remainder of the 200K Congress, but also all of the educational content that we post there on a regular basis. And so we want to thank everyone for joining the stream today, and to our wonderful guests for taking a whole hour of time out of their day to share this amazing data with us. So yeah, with that said, thank you everyone, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
so much, guys.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.